Hello everyone, I'm Ningbo Zhao. I'll be discussing our paper ERW-Radar, an adaptive detection system against evasive ransomware by contextual behavior detection and fine-grained content analysis. First, let's begin by introducing evasive ransomware. As we know, traditional ransomware encrypts a large number of files in short term and demands ransom from victims to restore encrypted files. So they usually exhibit anomalous I/O behaviors. However, evasive ransomware has successfully encrypted files and bypassed defense systems. Usually, they sacrifice the encryption efficiency to some extent in order to weaken or even hide the malicious features of I/O behaviors. There are three main types of evasive ransomware. First, attackers may adjust I/O strategy to make operations less intensive or regular. So the I/O frequency during encryption is significantly reduced to detection threshold. However, existing approaches rely heavily on predefined features or specific patterns, making them easily to be bypassed. Second, attackers may achieve encryption goal by imitating benign programs. However, existing approaches assume that ransomware behaves very differently from benign programs due to frequently encrypting and erasing file content. Third, attackers may use partial encryption or pad low entropy data to reduce entropy values. However, existing approaches rely heavily on high entropy values of encrypted files. So in this paper, we focus more on evasive ransomware that evades detection system by adopting these mainstream evasive techniques and crypto ransomware that encrypts the majority of file content. We do not consider the ransomware that encrypts at extremely slow speeds and the case where the detection system may be maliciously shut down by privileged attackers. So our goal is to design a system that can defend against these attacks. First, we have to observe its I/O behaviors. We collect samples and run them for minutes to gather I/O behaviors. As the picture shows, we find that there are a series of similar behavior segments marked with boxes 1, 2, and 3. To explore its details, we find that processes within these boxes exhibit a series of similar operations over a long period of time. Furthermore, the repetitive behavior segments are also observed in splitting attacks and intermittent attacks. So we conclude that evasive ransomware repetitively executes similar operations based on various templates, which results in its I/O behavior exhibiting a unique repetitive characteristic over the long term. Through compare the encrypted fields and the other files, we find that the chi-square test results can distinguish between them to some extent. To further classify those wrongly samples, we explore the probability distribution of bytes and find that it is uniform in encrypted files and it slightly fluctuates in files padded with low entropy data, but it exhibits numerous peaks in benignly modified files. So combining the two helps distinguish encrypted files more accurately, even sometimes the difference are not significant. So we propose ERW-Radar. As the picture shows, it has three main components. Next, we'll introduce it in detail. First, our solution to extract I/O behaviors is to parse IIPS. However, there are over 30 types of IIPS, and the frequency of them reaches up to 30,000 per second. This indicates that parsing all of them incurs a huge overhead. Additionally, behavior information is extracted in the kernel space, so frequently transmitting it incurs excessive context switching. So to elevate the burden of the system, the key is to reduce the parsed IIPS and the frequency of transmission. So we propose a lightweight and customized information extraction solution. First, we let most of them pass through directly except for file-related operations. Then we filled out those with low frequency. After this, we cache the behavioral information in the queue and send it periodically. Next, how to detect the behavioral repetitiveness accurately. Since other programs in the system, especially those with heavy tasks, may compete for system resources, so the repetitive behavior segments are not always entirely consistent. So the rule-based solutions are not feasible. Another solution to detect them is focusing on the periodicity solutions. However, the intervals of repetitive behavior segments are not always entirely consistent too, so these solutions are not feasible too. So our insight is that the recent behavior segments provide precise information about the ongoing operations, while the historical ones offer contextual references, so their correlation can reflect the behavioral repetitiveness. So we propose the correlation mechanism as the picture shows. It first breaks down the latest behavior sequences into progressive subsequences. Then it conducts sequence-wise analysis with the historical sequence. Another question that needs to be considered is how to determine a feasible size for the detection window. We know that a short window offers high efficiency, but fails to provide enough contextual information, especially when attackers weaken encryption behaviors to evade detection. However, a long detection window offers more behavior information, but incurs high computational latency, causing more file loss. So we propose a vulnerable length detection window. We discuss it in the following two cases. First, if both behavior detection and content analysis prompt positive results consistently, this indicates that the window size is sufficient enough to distinguish between them effectively. So a shorter but more feasible size is probably needed to detect ransomware. Case 2. Case 2, if the two results remain inconsistent, this indicates that the window size is too small, either making malicious behaviors hard to identify or resulting in too many false positives. So we need to expand it to capture more contextual information. Existing content-based analysis focus more on the write buffers of IIPS. However, they are usually performed in the kernel space, so they face the challenge of limited computing and storage resources. So they also fail to conduct the chi-square test and probability distribution evaluation, as well as to restore excessive content for accurate analysis. Instead of the write buffers individually, we recommend analyzing a series of file segments. Our insight is to perform content analysis in user space, and we target a series of segments with different sizes from modified files and evaluate them using the following two formulas, the chi-square test and the probability distribution. Compared to entropy values, these features are fine-grained indicators. Furthermore, to lessen I/O traffic in the basic system, we attempt to trigger it at idle I/O cycles, so sustained high intervals between I/O requests imply the arrival of analysis time. We use the I/O train to evaluate the I/O business of system. Given that the latest values of time intervals carry greater weight relative to historical values, so the I/O trend is more sensitive. Next, we summarize the challenges and the solutions we design in ERW-Radar. For high overhead of behavior extraction, we propose a lightweight and customized extraction solution. For accurate detection, we propose a correlation mechanism. To balance enough contextual information and computational latency, we propose the dynamic detection window. And finally, to analyze write buffers of IIPS, we propose the fine-grained analysis at idle cycles. Finally, we discuss the evaluation of ERW-Radar's performance. Our dataset contains ransom date I/O behaviors and benign I/O behaviors. Compared to Shield FS, a representative solution against evasive ransomware, ERW-Radar increases recall by 6 points to 27 points on ransomware detection. Compared to ERW-Radar with the original transformer architecture, it increases accuracy by more than 5%. We also list the detailed cost of detection, including detection time and file data loss. Finally, we conclude on the design of ERW-Radar. In this paper, we focus on 3 mainstream evasive ransomware. To detect it, we propose ERW-Radar, an adaptive detection system which is equipped with a context-based detector, a fine-grained analyzer, and adaptive strategies. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Great.
Yes, thank you for your talk. I was wondering, given that you want to move the IRP analysis into the idle times,
yes,
what would hinder ransomware to just do not or try not to get to such idle times? So basically, if the ransomware is busy, then probably your analysis will happen after the ransomware already has done a lot of damage.
Can you speak slowly?
Yeah. Given that you want to move the analysis into the idle time, which I can understand from an overhead perspective, the ransomware could just perform a lot of damage before the analysis takes place. Do you have any experience with that in your research, or did you found that ransomware that might be a problem?
Do you mean that before detection, a ransomware may always cause some file data loss? How to elevate it?
Yeah, because if you're moving the detection into the idle time, that the damage might already have been happened.
Yes, yeah. In our design, we design behavior detection and in an online mode. This means that the context-based behavior detector runs online, so it can monitor process of ransomware all the time. The content analysis is designed to prevent evasive ransomware that may slow down its attack speed or use some strategies such as imitating benign programs to encrypt files. So they usually encrypt file at a slow speed. In order not to be attacked by them, we will check the modified files at idle cycles. But this does not mean that there's no detector running except for the file content analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You mentioned that sometimes evasive ransomware may try to shut down the detector. So how does this solution prevent attackers from doing that?
Yes, it's a good question. You can see that in our threat model, we do not consider ransomware that encrypts at extremely slow speeds, because such as we find that some attackers may encrypt 1 byte an hour. So as for these attackers, actually it do not cause actual damage to our system. But for others, if someone may slow down its attack process to evade our detection, we discuss this in detail in our paper. So our online behavior detection will combine the latest behaviors and the historical behaviors, because the historical behaviors contains I/O behaviors over a long period of time, so it can reflect the I/O behaviors of attackers over a long period of time. So even if he slowed down his attacks, it can still capture the malicious behaviors.
Great.
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
I mean, what if the attacker just shut down? Shut down means just kill the detector's process, or just use some kernel level attack to attack the detector itself.